Hello and welcome to this module. My name is Grace Joshua. I'll be your tutor for the course of the graphic design lesson. And in this module, I'll be introducing you to design. So you're going to understand what graphic design is. You know who a graphic designer is, the specialties in the industry of graphic design. You also understand the elements of design. You also get to understand the principles of design and know some major design tools. So this is going to be an interesting lesson and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. So what is graphics design? So you'll be hearing graphic design, graphic design. What is this graphic design? So graphic design is the art and practice of combining text, images, and other visual elements to communicate ideas or messages. So you have things like flyers, logos, social media posts, and all of this. You notice that there's a combination of text, image, elements, and other things just to communicate a message or idea. That's what graphic design is all about. And it also has different medium. It includes but not limited to print, digital, and multimedia, and all this play a crucial role in various industry, in advertising, marketing, publishing, and web design. So on TV, you get to see graphic design. On social media, you get to see graphic design. On print, like newspaper, books, magazines, you get to see graphic design. So it's really all around us, okay? Then who is a graphic designer? You now know what graphic design is. Who is a graphic designer? A graphic designer is the visual communicator. So he's the one that uses the visual components that we just saw in what a graphic design is. That's the image, the text, the layout, everything, and combine those together to form a message. So a graphic designer, they are the masterminds behind logos, brochures, website layout, social media graphics, and a lot more. Now, a graphic designer works in different range and different industries. Like every brand typically needs a graphic designer. It's a very important role in every organization. And the good part is you don't need a graphic design degree. You don't need to have a degree in graphic design like how you go to school to study medicine. You don't have to go to school to study graphic design to be able to be a graphic designer or create amazing graphics. All you need to do is to understand the basic graphic design fundamentals, keep practicing, create beautiful designs, and you're good to go. Now, there are specialties within the industry of graphic design. So, graphic design, it's a very wild, there are wide ranges of specialization. So, how you have a for example, how you have in the medical field where you could be a medical doctor, a gynecologist, a pediatric, all those different specialization in the healthcare industry or in the medicine industry. That is how they have specialties within the graphic design industry in graphic design. So we have brand design and branding design. So you can be a graphic designer in a branding design industry where you create companies logo, brand guidelines, and marketing material. That's what a branding designer does. That's in the branding design industry. We also have the marketing and advertising design. So if you're a graphic designer in a marketing and advertising design industry, you create marketing and advertising campaigns such as posters, flyers, brochures, social media graphics, and email marketing. So that's what the marketing and advertising design industry is all about. Then if you're a graphic designer, in the UI and UX industry, UI and UX design industry, UI means user interface and UX means user experience. So if you're a graphic design in, or you want to be a graphic designer in this industry, you'll be designing interface of user interface and user experiences for websites, for applications. So you know how you see an application and how it's designed. So a graphic, or should I say a UI UX designer designs that, but it's under graphic design. It's under a specialty in graphic design. Then we also have information design industry. A graphic designer in the information and design industry creates, infographic images, information like charts, just a visual representation of information, charts, diagram, using data, making data, complex data look easy. So the packaging and design industry, you know how you have designing packaging for products, like how the box of a pizza look like. So a graphic designer in this industry would produce all of that um, kind of packaging, and when they are doing that, they have to put in the branding, the functionality, the shelf appeal. You know how a product looks like. You wonder, how do they design the product, like maybe a bottle or a jar or something, and it's being designed. It's a graphic designer under the packaging and design industry that designs that. You also have the motion graphic design. The motion graphic design is also at a different industry within the graphic design industry. So they create animations and motion graphic. Motion graphics, you know how all them text moves around the screen, and animation, how text animation, they're flying in, they're going out, and then they also specialize in videos. So this animation and text are used for videos, presentation, and other multimedia projects. We also have the illustrators. The illustration the industry, they create illustration for various purposes. So it includes editorial, advertising, children books. And then the last one on our list is web design industry. And then this graphic designer under this industry, or specialized in this industry, design the layout of visual elements of a website to ensure that it is visually appealing and user friendly. So these are just some of the major specialties within the area of graphic design, and I'm sure that there are more, but this is just the ones that we're going to cover in this lesson. And from this whole learning about these specialties, I believe that you have maybe picked one or two interests, but if you haven't, that is not a problem. As you're moving forward in this course, you'll be able to know where you want to specialize in. So now we've come to the element of design, and the element of design is basically those things that are used to make up a design, like the elements, what are used to make up design. We understand what graphic design means, where we explain is the use of text, images, and all of that to communicate a message. All right. Now, elements of design are, what are those things used in design to communicate a message? The first one we have on our list is lines. So we have straight lines, curved lines, horizontal lines, vertical lines, and all of those things. They can be used to create designs, they can be used to create shapes. They also define hierarchy and also guide the viewer's eyes. So when we go into the practical aspect of the lesson, you'll be able to understand how lines are used in elements of design. And the next one we have are shapes. So shapes are like, you know what shapes are: circles, squares, triangles, and all of those things. So we have different shapes that you can use for your design. All right. Then colors, we have different colors. We have primary colors, secondary colors. Colors are used to evoke emotions, and they can also be used to create construct, establish hierarchy, and also set the mood for design. Colors are really one of the most important parts, or the important element of your design. They're very important. They also, you have to understand the psychology effect of colors and how to use them to be able to evoke emotions and communicate the messaging. The next element on our list is imagery and iconography. So you use images to communicate, and when you're choosing images, of course, they have to be HD images, clear images, and not stretched and pixelated, images that are not clear. When the image is not clear, it becomes noise and it doesn't communicate well. It doesn't communicate your message properly. And you also have icons. Like right here, you can see these icons right here. This one is an icon for name. This one is an icon for phone number, location, places. There are different kind of icons, like a lot of icons that you're going to find. But these are just to show you that this is what icon means. So when you want to see, when you want to put WhatsApp, so instead of saying WhatsApp, you can just use an icon. All this will get into play when we start the practical lessons, but I just want you to get the idea of what they mean. Then the font, you have different kind of font, and each font has communicates a certain kind of message. So there are actually two major font families that are very popular, but there are other different font family. We have the serif font, which is this one, and the sans serif font. So the difference is that if you can look at this both these are the same thing like tin, but right here you can see this part here, it comes out like this, and then you can see this T here is just straight. You see this H has, they have this like this stroke there, and same thing, this one does not have that. This is sans serif front. So you see the I also has that, this one doesn't have that. It's just normal, and then it has this thin thick and thin stroke. This one doesn't have, they're all even, like it's smooth. And this sans serif front, an example of it is the century old style, and this one is the futura book. When we have composition, composition is organizing, your elements. Like this is an example of a design, and you can see how it's organized, how the picture is here, how the text is here, how these elements, these shapes are here, like everything is organized. So it will help, the goal is to remove clutter and noise, like the white spaces, negative spaces, everything are in order. If you look at this design, it's appealing, it's composed in such a way that when you see it, it's easy for you to read. So that's what composition is all about. And then in elements of design, we also have texture, which is we have the rough kind of texture, and then we also have the glossy face. We actually have different texture, but these are the two major ones. We have the rough, we have the glossy, we have the smooth surface, and all of those things. Then we have white spaces. So white spaces, so these are these even spaces, these spaces around the design. So they are used to actually arrange and compose the design to help your reader read your message better, and also what you're communicating for them to understand it. That's the point of communication. Now we are in principles of design. Now, principles of design is just a guideline. So you've learned about the element, what to include in the design. The principles of design is actually the guidelines of how to arrange the elements that you've learned. How to arrange these elements to make them more appealing, to make them effectively composed, to make them, readable. So I have about 8 of them here. There are more than this, but these are like the major principles of design. So the first one is balance. These are arranging the elements to create a sense of stability and equilibrium. So you can see this image is just a little depiction of what balance is. The same height, they're just balanced. The colors are balanced, like pink and white balance. It's okay. um then we have construct. Construct is just opposing elements that are different to create a visually interest and emphasis. So you see this is white triangle or rectangle, this is a pink rectangle, this is a white rectangle. So construct, I also have a white circle in the and in the middle of the pink one there's this white circle in the middle, and this is just that construct. For example, if this white circle is pink, you won't be able to see it because it's going to be on top a pink rectangle. So that construct just gives like a balance and just creates a visual interest and emphasis. That's what it basically means. When we start doing our practicals, you understand construct better. And then we have a hierarchy. This is organizing elements to guide the viewer's eyes and establish importance. So for example, you see this rectangle right here, and you see it's bigger, and the more I go down it gets smaller. This one is smaller than the first one, and this one is also smaller than the second one. But you can see the hierarchy. That's to say that this is the top, this is the middle, and this is the body. So more like headline, headline 2, and then body. So you get to understand more as we could dive into the practical. I keep saying it, but yeah, you actually understand better. So the next one is emphasis. Emphasis is drawing attention to a specific element. Now, when you look at thing right here, you pay attention more to this pink right here because it's created in such a way that pink is the emphasis, like you want to draw attention to a particular element, and the element I was trying to draw your attention to is this pink because every other element looks pretty much the same, but I wanted to have more emphasis on this one, right? Then reading is the repetition of elements or patterns to create a sense of movement and flow. This is just a little depiction of what reading is. Like you see, there's this element and there's just a sense of this, flow here and there. And alignment is basically arranging elements along common baseline or axis, to create a sense of order. So they have different kind of alignment. This one is left alignment. They have the left where everything is just coming from left to right, and they also have the one that is from right to left. They also have the middle alignment, and there's also the block alignment. So we'll get to understand that when we start our practical. And then we have proximity, grouping related elements together to establish relationships and hierarchy. So you just be able to guide the viewer's eye through design. So you see this proximity, there's this space, there's this space, there's this space, and there's this space as well. So it's just there's a proximity between them. The repetition is using the same visual element throughout the design to create a sense of unity and consistency and also brand recognition. So you see, an example of repetition is using a particular color or a particular shape or a particular logo or a particular text to, but this just explains how it looks like. If you see this particular, you know, explanation here, there's white, 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 pink, pink, white, 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 pink, pink. So you just have this sense of repetition. So those are the basic principles of design, which are 8, and we get to understand how to use them when we start our practical. Now, these are graphic design tools. Graphic design tools are just the tools that are used for graphic design. There are quite a lot of them, but I picked out just these 6, and these graphic design tools are used for different reasons. They can be used to manipulate image, can be used to create design layout, can be used for vector illustration. So vector is like icons and the rest, and it can be used to do just a lot of graphic design pretty much. And then we have here Photoshop. Photoshop is very popular. I'm sure you must have heard of Photoshop. Photoshop is used for both graphic design, like doing the graphic design like flyers, posters, and the rest. And it's also used to um edit image, just for image manipulation and the rest. And then we have Canva, which is what we're going to be using for the practical of this course. We're going to be learning how to use Canva for design. Canva is a tool used for design, and yes, a graphic design software. We also have Figma. Figma is used for graphic design. When we talked about specialties and talked about UI UX, Figma is used for UI UX design. It's used to do the layout of your website layout or your application layout. So Figma is a software used to do that. We have Adobe InDesign, which is also an Adobe product, and it's also used for designing flyers, posters, brochures, and the rest. Then we also have CorelDRAW. CorelDRAW is an OG in design. It's used to also create designs, flyers, posters. It manipulates the shape, the text, and all of those things. It's a very good software and tool for graphic design. We also have Adobe Illustrator. Adobe Illustrator is used for designing text, illustration, and all of those things. When we talked about illustration as a specialty in graphic design, this is one of the tools that is used for illustration. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this lesson. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned a lot from it. When we dive into the practical lesson, you understand more on how to apply this to your design. So I'm going to see you in the next lesson. Bye.